Hi everybody, Jane here, and today we are doing my May TBR. So I decided to do something a little bit different for May. I am doing a Ohio themed, Buckeye themed TBR. So I'm wearing my scarlet and gray appropriately. Alright, so I've grown up in Ohio all my life, and I decided that for my TBR this month, I wanted to focus on books that either take place in Ohio or are written by fellow Ohio authors. I do have a slightly smaller TBR than I normally do because last month's TBR was huge and I didn't get through quite everything. So this month is not going to be perfect. I am not only going to read Ohio books, but the majority of my TBR is Ohio books. There will be a sprinkling of other things that I meant to get to last month and just didn't have the time for. All right, so I have two reading goals I set at the beginning of the year, and the first was to read a book from my Kindle every month, and the second was to read a book from my shelf every month. The first book on my TBR is my Kindle book, and that is going to be A Field of Red by Greg Enslin. And it is a Frank Harper mystery, and I guess it's the first one. My understanding is this is about a guy who goes to visit his daughter in Ohio, and there are some missing girls, and he's a private investigator maybe, and so he goes and investigates and finds out what happened to these girls. Y'all know I love mysteries, and it's set in Ohio, so I'm really excited about that. The next book is the one from my shelf, and it is Risking Love by Janie Mason. And this is actually both takes place in Ohio and is written by an Ohio author, so I'm super excited about that. Okay, I don't know a ton about this book. The woman in the book, it's a romance, clearly from the cover. The woman in the book is a widow, and she is living in pre-Civil War Ohio, and she has some affiliation with the Underground Railroad. I'm not really sure what his role is. He's some kind of sheriff, I think. He has been deputized, is what it says. But I'm not sure exactly if he is going to be interfering with her efforts with the Underground Railroad or if he's part of it, but I'm looking forward to finding out. The next book on my list is one that most of you will probably have heard of. I know that the movie takes place in Ohio, so I'm assuming the book does too, and that is Ready Player One. I know when I watched the movie, I was all excited because it takes place in Columbus, Ohio, and I have lived in Columbus, Ohio. Obviously, not in this futuristic world, but it was still a lot of fun, and I got all squealy and excited. So, Ready Player One, and this is a little bit of a thick book. So, the other reason that I decided to have a more moderate TBR this month, because this one could take me some time. Alright, so for anybody who doesn't know, this is about a boy named Wade, and he is living in a futuristic world that has a lot of poverty, and people use video games to escape. There is one game in particular that is kind of the rage, and that a lot of people play, and it is like a virtual reality world. The person who created that game hid an Easter egg in it, and said that if anybody could find the Easter egg, they would be who inherited that company. And it is like the richest company in the world, basically. So Wade, of course, coming from a not great place, is working hard to try to crack the code of the Easter egg. I'm not going to say too much more about it, but that's what the movie's about, and I love the movie, and I'm excited to read the book. The next one I have for you is Mr. Lemon JellO's Great Library Race. This will be my third Mr. Lemon JellO's book. I love them. Basically, Mr. Lemon JellO is a game maker who adopts this library in Ohio and does awesome things with it. In book one, he had a group of kids compete to become like sponsors in his advertisements. In book two, the kids were competing for, it turns out, for a spot on the board, like the board of directors of the library. And so this is book three, and I'm not sure what they're competing for this time, but these are always great fun. They're middle grade, so they're a fairly easy read, and I'm excited. All right, the last four books I have for my TBR are actually written by Ohio writers. And they happen to all be Ohio writers that I know, and they're from my writers group. So I'm really excited to read them. I will not be rating them like I typically do because obviously I know these people and that makes it a little bit hard to judge fairly whether the book is amazing or whether I just think it's amazing because they're my friends. So the first book I have is Connor Jepp and the Harrow Project by Mike Gare. And this is a sci-fi western. I read about 10% of this when the book was still in its like earlier phase, so before it was finished, and I really enjoyed it. It was really funny. Basically, you have Connor, who is a stowaway on a spaceship, and he gets dropped on this planet that is very like Wild West. And I'm not really sure what happens beyond there, but apparently cool things, and I'm excited to read it. The next book is The Mothman's Vengeance by Marilyn Brokaw Hall. And this is about some murders that happen, and they believe the murders might be connected to the Mothman. The Mothman is a character, a mythological character in Ohio history. I don't know a ton about this situation, but there was a bridge that collapsed and the Mothman had been seen near it, and people thought that the Mothman was trying to warn people that the bridge was going to collapse. I'd heard a bit about it. I actually met somebody whose family had been part of like reporting about the Mothman. It's a really cool thing. So I'm excited to read this book. The next book is Broken World, The Color of Change, and this is another one by Mike Gare. And basically, I need to read some of Mike's work. I really love the work of his that I've read. We were in an anthology together, or a collaborative together, and I really enjoyed his work, so I really wanted to read his books. So I don't know much about it. This is about a boy, Jake, who is sucked into a magical fantasy world. And that's really all I know so far. And I know this is a series, so if I have a good time with it, I will continue on. The final book is Chordal World by J.L. Ender. And my understanding is this is about a planet where people show up at this planet and some weird stuff is going on. There is a giant crater in the ground and civilization was there but is clearly destroyed, and they're trying to figure out why is there this crater, what happened to these people, what is going on. So I'm excited to read this. I believe this is also the start of a series, but I don't know for sure. I will let everybody know that this copy that I have is a first edition, and I believe that the first edition is no longer available. So there may be things in my discussion or review that are no longer correct if you were to get a copy. That can happen. A lot of times I believe there was a change in publisher somewhere along the way, and when publishers change, new editions come out, and I don't know all the details of what happened, but there may be some changes from what I have and what I will discuss to what is currently the Chordal World book, although the changes should be, I would assume, very minor. All right, guys, that is all I have. So a very modest TBR, one that hopefully I can get through. May is a little bit rough because it's my daughter's birthday, so a lot of the month is spent getting ready for that. But I'm excited. I'm excited to read all these books about Ohio and by Ohio writers. And yeah, so let me know in the comments if you have any books that you can recommend to me that are by Ohio authors or that take place in Ohio, because I definitely want to read more of those. I definitely recommend, if you're a booktuber, it is awesome if you can feature books by local authors and that take place in your local area. I would totally be excited to see more of that. My like and subscribe button are down below, and so is my social media. This is Jane. See you next time. Bye.